My name is Santa Ono, and I am the President and Vice Chancellor of the University of British Columbia. Please join us in the singing of O Canada, led by our University Marshal, Nancy Hermiston, Director of the Opera and Voice Program at the UBC School of Music. Please remove your caps. Thank you, Professor Hermiston. We respectfully acknowledge the Syilx Okanagan Nation and their peoples, in whose territory we stand and are gathered upon today. At this time, I would like to invite Amber Cadenas, member of the Okanagan Nation, to sing the Okanagan Song. Please be seated. Let us pause for a moment to give thanks, spiritual and temporal, for the manifold blessings that we share in this wonderful world, this great nation, this beautiful province, this wonderful university. For these proud students and their even prouder friends and family, we give thanks especially for this most momentous of occasions, this milestone in your lives. Amidst this happy occasion, let us pause to remember and reflect upon the 75th anniversary of the D-Day landings and the Battle of Normandy, where so many young Canadians and Allied soldiers fought and died for the freedoms and privileges that we enjoy today. Could we please observe just a moment of silence? Chancellor Gordon, honored guests, members of the Board of Governors, the Okanagan Senate, faculty members, staff, alumni, and most especially you, our graduates, family, and friends, welcome to the University of British Columbia. What an honor it is for me to be with you today to celebrate UBC's newest graduating class, the class of 2019. Let's hear it for them. I can tell you this is a day that we look forward to throughout the entire academic year. And one of the privileges is really to welcome all the students to UBC Okanagan and to watch those students grow and transform into the adults that you see before you today. Participating in this ceremony is one of the most joyful moments of the academic year. This day, graduates, is all about you and what you have achieved through hard work, determination, and moments of creative inspiration. I want you to know that graduation is also a time to imagine your future and the world to come. When you think about the road ahead, you may gain perspective by looking back to where you have been. And I hope that when you do look back at your time here at UBC, that you will do so with fondness. And that when you look ahead into the future, that you will see UBC very much part of your future. You see, you will always be welcome here, and we look forward to following your personal and professional achievements as you build upon the foundation of your UBC degree. We also hope to continue to engage with you from this day forward as alumni as you travel forward to new adventures and to new corners of the globe. Some of you may know that we have over 340,000 living alumni all over the world. So wherever you might be, whether you're here in the Okanagan or whether you are going to be in another province in Canada, another nation, wherever you might be, we will come to you. We will come with faculty members and students, and we will stay in touch with you so that you can keep up with the goings-on of your alma mater. As you begin a new stage in your life and experience, please be confident of one thing. Having demonstrated that you can actually succeed in the rigorous environment of UBC, that demonstrates to us that you can and that you will continue to make a difference and be distinctive. If you think about it, of all those graduates of UBC, we have many that we are very proud of. 3 of them have gone on to be Prime Minister of this nation. Several have gone on to be Supreme Court justices. Several have become CEOs of multinational companies. Several are professors at the top of their game in many different fields. Whatever field of human endeavor you might think of, there is a UBC alumnus that is really shining in that field. It's not surprising because you really have received an excellent education, and you will be able to, after today, hang on your wall a diploma which is recognized around the world. Now, if you think about the time that it's taken to get to this point as an institution, UBC is remarkably young. We're only 103 years old. In his address to UBC's very first graduating class, which was much, much smaller, small but mighty, UBC's first president, Frank Westbrook, encouraged those students to make the world a better place in which to live through their actions, large and small. It was a very high bar, and it is something that we believe still today is something you should really try to commit your lives to. 103 years later, we echo those remarks. We believe that each and every one of you has a unique capacity and skill to succeed not only in what you do, but to use those gifts to have a positive impact on others, individuals that you might never see. Believe in the power of one. That really is at the core of what we believe in as a university. Now, a couple weeks ago, a graduating senior made an appointment to meet with me and said, I just wanted to talk to my university president before going out into the real world. And I thanked him for making the time when he should have been finishing up his work and getting ready to celebrate the end of his studies, to come to see me. Believe me, when I was actually in his stage or the end of my last coursework or exams as an undergraduate, the last thing I wanted to do was to meet with the president of the university. So you got to be impressed with somebody that has the initiative to do so. And so he asked me, I just wanted to get some advice about what it's like to go out into the real world. And so I asked him, isn't UBC the real world? And he said he wasn't really sure. And I said, one thing I'll say is that your life up until your graduation day and your life after your graduation day are actually quite similar. And I believe that what you've learned during your time in university really is a microcosm of the real world. You've grown enormously during your time here. If you think about how far you've come from your days in secondary school. Well, he persisted and asked, I just really want to have some advice from you, something I can take with me from this day forward. And so I said, I'm not really sure I can say anything of tremendous advice or sage advice, but since you asked twice, I'll give it my best shot. And so I wanted to share the same advice that I gave that student to every single graduating student today. So this is what I said. I said, I'll be honest, you will have good times and bad. It's unavoidable. May you have more good times than bad. But in those moments when life is challenging or your spirits might be down, I encourage you to try this, and you might want to try it now. So I'm going to run through a number of different vignettes that most of you have experienced. And it works best if you actually close your eyes. Humor me, close your eyes and think back to the first time you ever experienced something anew. Really try and transport yourself to where you were back then. Try and feel what you felt back then. You remember the first time you went into a beautiful forest in British Columbia as a little kid, and you looked up, you were amazed how high the tree went and how wide the base of the tree was. You remember how you marveled at all the ferns around and the moss and the fallen branches. Remember when you were small, how impossibly large everything seemed? Remember the first time you went on a ferry going from one island of British Columbia to another? How amazed you were that a boat that large, that heavy could actually float, and how you actually departed from that port, wherever it might be, and looked at what was in front of you get smaller and smaller as you went further and further into the water. Do you remember that? Remember the first time you went to a concert? It could have been a classical concert, it could have been a jazz concert, it could be rock and roll or popular music, whatever you fancy. For me, I love classical music. And as a kid, I used to listen to classical music first on a mono radio. And in Baltimore, I tried to tune in to listen to the Washington radio station from Baltimore about over an hour away driving. And the reception wasn't really good, but I tried to listen to a symphony orchestra over that radio. Then my father got a stereo, and back then we didn't have CDs or music on iTunes or anything like that, Apple Store. You couldn't do that on your phone. And my father got a record player. And back then we listened to music on a record player, and I scratched that record. And so that experience of listening to music was listening to something that wasn't anywhere near as good as what you hear now on headphones and coming from your smartphone. And I scratched that record, and I was in big trouble for scratching that record as a 9-year-old boy. The first time I actually listened to a symphony orchestra live, I was in the second or third row of the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts, listening to the National Symphony Orchestra play. It was amazing. It was a totally different experience. It was in stereo. It was in surround sound. Think back to the first time maybe you went to a baseball park. When I was a kid, I went to something called Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. It doesn't even exist today. I'll never forget the thrill for the first time being in a place with 35,000 people on their feet cheering in the 9th inning with 2 outs. I'll never forget the sound of the crack of the bat hitting a ball as a baseball player called Boog Powell hit a grand slam home run and the home team won. And everything went into pandemonium. You probably remember that. Maybe you were in Toronto at Scotiabank when the Raptors won. Remember the first time you experienced something like that. Think back to your first fireworks display. Remember how excited you were, perhaps how scared you were when you heard that first explosion as a little kid, maybe on your parents' shoulders looking into the sky, how mesmerized you were to see your first fireworks in the summer sky. Think back to the first time you rode your bicycle, and this is probably true for every single one of you. The first time you rode it without training wheels. Remember how your mom or dad or older sibling was holding onto the bicycle seat, hoping that you wouldn't wipe out, but knowing that they had to let go because that was the only way you're going to learn how to ride a bicycle without training wheels. Remember looking back when you finally were able to do that, your mom and dad cheering you on, probably videotaping you. They might still have a video of you the first time you rode a bicycle without training wheels. Think back to the first time you got your driver's license, the real one. I don't want this learner thing. Think about your feeling of liberation, that time-honored step towards adulthood, that rite of passage. Think back to your first kiss. Maybe you want to forget about that. Think back to the very first time you looked out of the window of a jet plane or witnessed the majesty of the Grand Canyon or of the Niagara Falls, the Canadian side, of course. Think back to the first time you might have seen the Houses of Parliament or Big Ben in London or the pyramids in Egypt. Or think back, if you're a scuba diver, to the very first time that you saw the stunning biodiversity of a coral reef, an ocean tortoise or a shark just there in the distance. How excited, how scared you were. Or how about the first time you stepped into a tropical rainforest looking at birds of every color flying from branch to branch? What I want you to do, if you really close your eyes and try to remember what you felt like, try to remember your sense of awe. Your look of wide-eyed amazement at the wonders of the world. There are a lot of parents and grandparents here. They will never forget the look on your face the first time you did some of those things. Reliving those moments is apropos on a day like this. This is one of those moments. If you think about all the days in your lives, there are a set of very special moments and days, and this is one of them. Reliving these moments will likely bring a smile to your face, sunshine to a cloudy day. And whether you're flipping through an old photo album or looking through old photos on Facebook or reminded about what happened 7 or 9 years ago by Facebook. It'll bring a smile to your face. But beyond looking back, my advice to you is to always look forward to new firsts, to never ever lose that sense of adventure, that sense of wonder, that sense of awe. You see, when the world does seem drab, and there's lots of those sorts of days, and everything might seem like it's monochrome, or as if you're listening to that clock radio in mono, that's the moment to push beyond your limits, to experience anew something you've never done before, to relive that sense of wonder, that look of wide-eyed amazement, to experience the magic of a world in stereo. You see, the sooner you realize that the bucket list of things to do in this world is actually infinite, the sooner you'll realize that there is an endless list of first times for you, endless opportunity to view the world with childlike wonder, and never be embarrassed to be childlike, because it is the secret of being forever young. Graduates, if you do that, you will live a rich and fulfilling life, and you will make your parents very happy. Godspeed, stay in touch. We will be rooting for you every step of the way. Congratulations, class of 2019. Every year at Convocation, it's special for a number of reasons. It's special because you're going to graduate. It's special because your parents are with you. Another reason that Convocation is special is that UBC on these days honors special individuals who will graduate with you. And the reason for it is we identify individuals that, by the opinion of the university community, have fit the criteria of excellence and eminence in their chosen field. In a way, they epitomize fast-forwarding your life into the future. Because here you are, at this moment, imagining your future. The people that we honor with honorary degrees are individuals who have lived a little bit longer than you. And it's amazing. I think many of them are amazed with what's happened in their lives. So in honoring them, we let you look into the future, to look forward to those new firsts that will make you into someone distinguished, extraordinary, and having an impact on the world like they have. William Carpentier exemplifies these characteristics, and I invite him now to step forward to receive his honorary degree together with you on this graduation day. Let's hear it for William. Mr. Chancellor, UBC alumnus, Dr. William Carpentier is a distinguished medical researcher who is best known for his extraordinary contributions to the field of space life sciences. Born on Vancouver Island, he graduated from the University of British Columbia's Faculty of Medicine in 1961. And while at university, he obtained his recreational pilot's license. And with a keen interest in aviation, he moved to Ohio to pursue additional studies in aviation medicine at The Ohio State University. Go Buckeyes. He was selected as a flight surgeon trainee by the U.S. National Aeronautics and Space Administration in 1965 and was made a staff flight surgeon later that year, responsible for the health and welfare of astronauts. At that time, operational space medicine was a new field, and research about the effects of microgravity on humans was limited. Dr. Carpentier thought the clinical tests and evaluations being developed for NASA's Apollo mission were insufficient. He therefore requested that comprehensive quantitative biomedical measurements be taken to ensure the welfare of astronauts to gain a better understanding of human health in weightlessness. The combination of his scientific expertise and commitment to the safety of crew members resulted in him serving as a flight surgeon for several history-making NASA missions, including Apollo 11, the first manned lunar landing. When Apollo program ended, he joined the nuclear medicine division at Scott and White Healthcare in Texas, where he contributed to important advancements in radiology, diagnostics, and cancer treatment. He returned to NASA in 2003, where he is again working with research colleagues to study changes in the cardiovascular systems and microgravity, and other measures aimed at the safety of future astronauts, maybe one of you. Mr. Chancellor, in recognition of extraordinary and historic achievements in medicine and space life science, I ask you to confer the degree of Doctor of Science, honoris causa, upon William Raymond Carpentier.
By the authority of the Okanagan Senate of this university, I confer upon you, William Raymond Carpentier, the title and degree Doctor of Science, honoris causa.
Well, I think I can call you now Dr. Carpentier. I just wanted to say a couple of things. One is, I don't know if you know, but prior to coming to UBC, I was also in Ohio. I was the president of the University of Cincinnati. And you may know that one of the astronauts who you probably helped take care of, Neil Armstrong, after Apollo 11, the program concluded, he became a professor of engineering at the University of Cincinnati. You probably know that. And so really, for me, it's remarkable to be on the same platform with you. And that must have been a truly remarkable experience for you to be involved in that historic mission. Now, graduates, or soon-to-be graduates, please welcome your fellow graduate, Dr. Carpentier, to say a few words to you.
Mr. Chancellor, Professor Ono, Professor Buzzard, honored guests and graduates, and ladies and gentlemen, I would just like to express my sincere thanks to the University of British Columbia, Okanagan for this honorary degree. And although I've spent most of my professional life in Texas, I grew up on Vancouver Island. I received my college and university education at Victoria College and at UBC. And even after all those years away, when I come back to British Columbia, I still have the feeling of coming home. So receiving this honorary degree is very meaningful to me. Now, it was during my last semester in medical school in April 1961, the Soviet Union launched a spacecraft with Yuri Gagarin on board to become the first man in space. And this event was proclaimed as 108 minutes that changed the world. And in May of 1961, President Kennedy announced the United States' goal of sending men to the moon and returning them safely to Earth by the end of the decade. So these two events certainly changed my world. The space race was on. And it was about the same time that I discovered that Ohio State University had a civilian training program, a residency program in aviation medicine. I applied and was accepted. Now, part of that training involved a rotation in space medicine at the Manned Spacecraft Center in Houston. And this was during the Gemini program. But it was during that rotation, because I had training as a competitive swimmer and scuba diving training, I became involved in working with the NASA recovery team and the U.S. Navy underwater demolition team Frogmen in recovering astronauts after their return from space and their splashdown into the ocean. I was then offered a full-time job as an operational flight surgeon, and this led to my conducting medical evaluations during the Gemini program, both pre-flight and post-flight, and this, of course, led to doing medical evaluations for the Apollo program. And during that rotation, I was assigned as a crew flight surgeon for Apollo 11. As I said, it is the first manned lunar landing mission. I felt very unfortunate to be involved in what has been described as the greatest adventure and the greatest peacetime technological achievement of the 20th century. I felt that I was very lucky. I was at the right place at the right time. But it was pointed out to me by one of the Apollo astronauts that being at the right place at the right time doesn't mean very much if you don't have the right training and the right skills. Now, as I've grown older, I have been asked, if I could live my life over again, what would I do differently? And I can honestly say, I would do nothing differently. I would have the same life, the same career, I would marry the same woman, I would have the same sons. I also have been asked, what advice could I pass on to the younger generation? And the only advice I can give is never pass up an opportunity to learn anything new. Every fact that I have ever learned, every skill that I have ever acquired, I have used to help me solve problems throughout my life. Now, I would like to pass on what I feel is an important legacy of the early space program, and this deserves to be remembered this year during the 50th anniversary of Apollo 11. The photographs taken of the Earth from space have caused people of the world to view the planet in a new way. The poet Archibald MacLeish wrote, "To see the Earth as it truly is, small and blue and beautiful in the eternal silence where it floats, is to see ourselves as riders on that Earth together." And Stephen Hawking wrote in his last book, "When we see the Earth from space, we see ourselves as a whole. We see unity, not divisions. It is such a simple image with a compelling message. One planet, one human race." And in closing, I would just like to say that I have many fond memories of the time that I spent at UBC. And my parting wish to the graduates is that 60 years from now, when you look back on your time at UBC, you also will have fond memories. I thank you.
Wow, very inspiring words. Thank you, Dr. Carpentier. I'm Deborah Buzzard, and I have the privilege of being the Deputy Vice Chancellor of UBC and the principal of this beautiful Okanagan campus. And I want to give my congratulations to the class of 2019. What an extraordinary group of people you are. Today marks your tremendous achievement. The habits and skills that you have acquired here, in addition to your disciplinary degree, will serve you well. But a UBC degree isn't just about tenacity or qualifying skills for a job. Much more importantly, It's about preparing you to live a thoughtful life, one of perception, insight, and in this era of fake news, rationality and discrimination. It gives you the tools to flourish wherever you may go from here. And as I look at you, I am struck by your collective power and the force that you will have to make the world a better place. And there really is, as we all know, a lot to be done. Global challenges and at the same time, incredible emerging new opportunities and technologies, creating a world that we can't even imagine today. Now, we know that you as UBC graduates have the intellectual skills and tools necessary to take on and embrace these challenges and opportunities. And we know that you are willing to step up and make change. And I want to give you an example of something that you have done collectively here to take with you, to show the power of you as individuals and your power collectively. Many of you may have been here in 2014 when there was a referendum organized by the Students' Union of the day. In the referendum, you voted overwhelmingly to support making a contribution. You're contributing a small amount every year. I think it's about $75 a year. And students henceforth will contribute that for perhaps the next 25 years. It's a contribution that adds up to $10 million. And you did that, and you agreed to make that contribution to help to build an extension to our library to create more study space. Those of you who've been here over the last 4 or 5 years know that study space has been a challenge. And you are the first generation of graduating students who've been here to see what a difference you have made by making that decision collectively to contribute to build more library. That was the name of the campaign, some of you may remember, Build More Library. And you have. And this January it opened, and you are the first generation of students who were able to study in there for exams, to enjoy the quiet space, the collective space, the new comma cafe, and perhaps even take a few classes in the new classrooms. It's a wonderful facility. You have changed this campus immeasurably for the better. You are going to make this campus a better place for students forever. And I'd like everyone to join me in giving these students a round of applause for having that vision to do that. Thank you. You really have paid it forward, and I hope that you'll come back to see it. And graduation doesn't mean goodbye. As you leave here, you will continue to be a member of the university. And in September, on the 28th, you're invited back as an alumnus to the second annual homecoming celebration on this campus. And we look forward to welcoming you all back as alumni. Never before has a class gone out into such a rapidly changing world. But I have confidence that you will not only cope, that you will embrace the change, that you will make change the way you have done already here on campus. And I have every confidence that your education, your character and experience here qualify you to live a splendid life as UBC graduates. And UBC, like every great university, is defined by the impact it has. And the largest impact that any university has is through the lives and the contributions of its graduates. So you are UBC. Tuum est, it's yours. So on behalf of UBC and the entire Okanagan campus, congratulations. I wish you every success. Well done, class of 2019. And now I'm pleased to call upon Victoria Scotney, a member of the graduating class, to make remarks. Victoria.
Thank you, Professor Buzzard. Mr. Chancellor, honored guests, and fellow graduates, today we share a special moment. It's a moment we graduates have long anticipated. Perhaps some of you, like me, counted down to this day. Only 2 more years. Then it was only 1 more semester, until finally it was only 2 more exams and 1 paper. And now, here we are. I can remember my first week at UBCO, facing a campus of over 8,000 strangers. It was scary. But in my very first class, someone introduced themselves. We chatted until class began, and a stranger became a friend. I remember how it filled me with so much peace in that moment to think, I can connect here. And over the next few weeks, I continued to meet people every single day. One day, someone asked if I knew where the free hamburgers were. I didn't, but we've always stopped to greet each other in passing ever since. Another friendship began when I held open the elevator door for a fellow classmate. And the connections have continued. They've been formed with people who like to sit in the same area of the classroom, in study groups and campus clubs, and in the nervous bonding that happens in the hallway right before a midterm when you quickly share your answers for something in the study guide. The connections have extended to professors who help spark my passion for research and help prepare me for my future. There were so many times I would stop by a professor's office to ask a quick question and end up staying much longer as they would talk to me about graduate school and give me both encouragement and advice. I am so thankful for every one of those conversations and how they've shaped my own journey. I know that each one of us had a different experience, but in the most important ways, they have been the same. I hope that, like me, when you look around this room, you see faces that were part of your journey. The faces of family members who gave you support and encouragement whenever you needed it. The faces of UBC faculty and staff who have fought for your success. The faces of study buddies, lifelong friends, and even that person you recognize just because they always spoke up in class. I hope that, like me, you no longer feel alone amid thousands of strangers, but instead are only aware of the amazing connections you have had and will continue to have because of this place. I believe those connections matter. Whether for you, it was 3 people or the entire campus population, community gives us a safe place to explore our passions and find our purpose. So I want to encourage you, as you leave here today, to connect on purpose, to connect to your city, to your new school, to your workplace. I want to encourage you to be the kind of person who would introduce themselves to that person who's surrounded by 1,000 strangers, who would write an email just to say thank you, who would take a moment to tell someone about the greatness you see in them. Because no matter what happens after today, no matter your achievements or failures, whether you get that job you want or not, whether you get into that grad school you want or not, you are part of something bigger than yourself. You matter. Your voice matters. You have the capacity to create connections and fuel the fires of greatness in the lives of people around you. And you are loved. And that is true success. Today, let us celebrate all our successes and celebrate them as they were achieved, together. And the connections don't end here. On behalf of Alumni UBC, I am honored to welcome you into the alumni family. You now belong to a community of changemakers and leaders that is more than 350,000 strong. Graduates like you who are looking to make a positive difference in the world. I'd like to invite you to visit the alumni welcome tent after our ceremony and see what it means to be a new member of the alumni family. Finally, it is my honor to offer my congratulations to the graduating class of 2019. Congratulations, we did it.
Thank you, Victoria, a great representative of our class. To the business. Will the candidates for degrees please rise? That's you. Mr. Chancellor, I have the pleasure of presenting the candidates for degrees who have successfully completed their studies and fulfilled the conditions that the university has set for them. The Okanagan Senate of the university recommends them to you for the degrees that will be announced by the representatives of the faculties. As each degree is officially conferred, the Dean of the Faculty, and in the case of graduate students, the Dean of the College of Graduate Studies will congratulate the student. Catherine Comben and Sarah Coombs, members of the alumni community, will welcome each student to the Alumni Association and present them with an alumni handbook. Will the candidates please be seated?
Mr. Chancellor, I have the pleasure of presenting to you the candidates for the degree Doctor of Philosophy. Stephen Edmund Decker. Dr. Decker examined the caribou management processes on the island of Newfoundland on Canada's east coast. He identified a significant gap between contemporary theories of wildlife management and practice on the ground, and provided feasible strategies to guide the adoption of more stakeholder-engaged and natural systems-based management approaches. Dr. Decker. Mr. Chancellor, I have the pleasure of presenting to you the candidates for the degree Master of Arts. Brandon Shea Gregg. Helena Riggs Conans. Mr. Chancellor, I have the pleasure of presenting to you the candidates for the degree Master of Science. Gujan Soni. Miriam Sadeghi. Mahdi Aziz. Mr. Chancellor, I have the pleasure of presenting to you the candidates for the degree Bachelor of Arts. Kendra Sharma. Kayla Emily Gardner. Sydney Allenson. Haley McLeod. Luke McIntosh. Maren Olson. Madison Johnson. Kristen Amber Goodmanson. Ali Catherine Parker. Victor Koon Ching Chang. Amy Derisick. Natalia Haberman. Deanne Mostert. Karen Lorene Weeb. Udara Wijasingha. Madison Head. Kaya Wallace Webb. Isabel Rose McNicholas. Sydney Ann Fender. Jessica May Lee. Jordana Marshall. Brittany Ann Viola Amorim. Taylor Siemens. Enora Zainab Kampore. Kian Haynes. Ziyan Lee. Nestor Jose Mendoza. Christopher Gary Murphy. Michael Edward Stubley. Suraj Jani. Arijit Mondal. Michael Manayolovich. Ya Ting Liu. Zhao Ka. Rowan Nagel. Rachel Elizabeth Tom. Dakota Ivory Trihumba. Tom Cohezel. Landon Moore. Tasia Jade Serco. Pedro Strauser. Taryn Marie White. Colin Alexander Naylor. Kylie Skivenis. Nicole Tom. Ravneet Gill. Laura Shukala. Caitlin Heather Barkfed. Danielle Tateran. Tommy Cheong. Tanis DeMille. Deirdre Forrest. Coulter Forrester Grenier. Brett Zachary Honeysett. Riley Douglas McCauley. Malcolm Minkus. Jacqueline Marguerite Christie. Sarah Watson. Eva Lee Nelson. Onjame Vanstone Quinnell. Maria Robin Page McCliggott. Cassidy Atchison. Robbie Simpson. Stephen Girk. Alyssa Elliott. Nicole Jem Arkansala Carrillo. Nezar Casey. Maximilian Forderer. Songrop Im Nam Ko. Paul McPherson Johnson. Riley Koonsgaard. Aiden Lee. Stephen Lynn. Maria Luisa Lorenzo Mara. Shelby Lauren Sharp. Isabella Sarazuela. Adrian Tang. Paige Wasserman. Marina Lohr. Catherine Cresswell. Mackenzie Robert Edwards. Garrett Grittner. Nicholas Huertas. Samantha Leatham. Patricia Nagoyan. Samuel Victor Arno Burgess. Jodine Ann Dukes. Esther Germain. Tatiana Yezdal. Nicole Mann. Shaman McLean. Erica Mihalshin. Adriana Tornat. Taylor Wilson. Allison Brown. Jack Welsh. Tyrell Jake Lamoureux. Michael James Albert Keller. Manpreet Panu. Jamie Arnott. Emily Beagle. Alexandra Beauclair. Caitlin Rita Marie Berg. Dawn Ann Burns. Victoria Cooper. Angela Corfey. Kylie King. Sahej Kaur Mangat. Melissa Newell. Ryan Nordstrom. Madeline Obst. Nicole Marie Workington. Robin Lilly.
Mr. Chancellor, I have the pleasure of presenting to you the candidates for the degree Bachelor of Science. James Riley Jackson. Anuprit Januhan. Osahon David Osemwegi. Matthew Blank. Kevin Fedema. Trevor Gallicano. Ismail Putra Harris. Gavneet Kaur Keria. Mandy Lazar. Haraj Luhano. Brandon John Wesley Rasich. Julian Andreas Ray. Danielle Schwab. Alex Shaw. Andrew Swan. Alexander Mackenzie Saloom. Nicholas Vosberg. Harmon Dalawal. George Nasrallah. Luke Choi. Chunyang Ren. Varun Kasal. Patrick Martin Juan Carlos. Vic Don. Danielle Candy. Kamini Bhatia. Sabrina Saeed. Janie Ray Tam. Maria Ginter. Liam S. Welch. Cassidy Scott. Parker Gregoire Jenkins. Quincy Nigo. Yasan Lawrence Worth. Jeremy Manuel. Alexander Bunka. Nicholas Mantella. Sean Maxon Colford. Sabrina Matson. Gunveer Bia. Colin Broughton. Lee Michael Robert Carson. John David Dunphy. Kisro Masood Hazir. Kent Andrew Lambert. Ria Jade Meston. Scott Ranger. Jesse Tiro.
Congratulations, everybody. Let me take this opportunity to thank our Chancellor, Lindy Gordon, for presiding over today's ceremony, and also our President, Santa Ono, for joining us for this very important celebration. Let's give them a round of applause.
Actually, I think I'm supposed to admit them to the convocation next. I got it. Okay. Will all the graduates please rise? For all those graduates who crossed the stage today, as well as those who are unable to make today's ceremony, I hereby admit you to the convocation of UBC. Congratulations. As Chancellor, it's been my privilege and great honor to preside over today's ceremony. This is a marvelous occasion for all of us, and you, as our graduates, have invested a huge amount of hard work, determination, and focus to reach this milestone in your life, your graduation. You've had a lot of support along the way, your family, your friends, your peers, and many of those people are in this hall today to celebrate this momentous occasion with you. So I think this would be a great moment for you all to turn around and show your appreciation to your supporters. Let's give them a huge round of applause. And how about a big round of applause as well for the faculty on stage for all their support. So having crossed this stage today, you are now members of the Convocation of UBC, and you are in very good company. Since UBC first began granting degrees in 1916, generations of students just like you have crossed a stage just like this one to receive their degrees, and they've gone on to help build our community and shape our society. As alumni, your relationship with UBC is beginning anew, and you can maintain your voice in the affairs of the university through your elected members of Senate, perhaps by mentoring one of today's students, or by participating in one of the many volunteer activities that UBC hosts both here at home and abroad. And as lifelong learners, you will always be welcome to come back here and take a course or two. Of course, you might want to take a short break before you do that, but you will always be welcome to come back. And I do encourage you to stay involved in the affairs of the university because you still have much to offer UBC, just as UBC still has much to offer you. So tuam est, congratulations once again, and please be seated.
And let me just now give one other plaudit to our orchestra this afternoon. We're very much enjoying the music of the Okanagan Symphony Wind Ensemble, conducted by Dennis Colpitts. Please give them a round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, this does bring our ceremony to a close, and I want to thank you all for joining us today. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have, and that you will be able to join us in the courtyard immediately afterwards for refreshments at the alumni tent. We ask that guests remain in their places until the academic procession has left the building, but before we begin the procession, we have one more big moment. Parents, families, friends, this is your opportunity to get that big photo op that you have been waiting for. The time-honored tradition known as the cap toss. Some of you may have been waiting decades to see your loved one graduate from university. I know that our students are very excited. This is it, but we have to get it right. The key to a successful cap toss is synchronization and altitude. We have a high ceiling. I leave the altitude entirely up to you. But to ensure that we are all in sync, I'm going to lead you with a prompt. So will the graduates please rise one last time to prepare for the toss? Remove your caps, hold on to them, and no premature decapitation. In a moment, I'm going to give you one final congratulation on behalf of the University of British Columbia. And when I say the word Columbia, that is your cue to toss your caps as high in the air as you should wish. And parents, that is your cue to start snapping photos and video. Is everyone ready? Yes. Excellent. Mr. Chancellor, President Ono, dignitaries, family and friends, please join me in congratulating one last time the 2019 graduates of the University of British Columbia.